I'm going to share with you a story that shares when the end is actually the beginning. Jeffrey Cox, he's 17 years old and just entering his senior year in high school. What a milestone. Do you remember those times? We have football, winter formals, the prom, graduation. Your entire life is in front of you. And Jeffrey's dream was to play college football. And he knew he had a shot at it. He practiced all summer long, and the day finally came for his first football scrimmage game. And he wanted to make such an impression. And one of the most pivotal plays in this game involved Jeffrey. The opposing team had the ball. Jeffrey was playing defense. The center snaps the ball to the quarterback. Quarterback hands it off to the running back. At this moment, Jeffrey knew he was at the right place at the right time, and he knew all of his hard work was just about to pay off. Number 25, Jeffrey Cox, charges in, and he tackles that running back. He stops the play. He stops the play. Everything stopped. The end. The end. That's what Jeffrey Cox felt as he was lying there in the football field. He couldn't get up. He couldn't move his arms. He couldn't move his legs. He couldn't utter a sound. Because you know what? He couldn't even breathe. Could you imagine how scary that might have felt at that time? What Jeffrey and his parents didn't know at that time was that he had just suffered the worst spinal cord injury, the most severe spinal cord injury anybody could possibly have. He couldn't move or feel below his neck, and he required a machine to breathe for him, leaving him frozen at the end of a story that was just supposed to be beginning. A broken spirit, no hope, and the fear of a lost future. Luckily, an athletic trainer saved Jeffrey's life on that day, but it was technology and specialty rehabilitation that restored him. No, Jeffrey can't walk today, and to be honest, he may never walk again. But you know what? He can still play football. Now, come on, you're what? I know that's what you're trying to say. How can he not walk, but he can play football? Do you want to know? Of course you do. Okay. Jeffrey is a champion Madden football video game player, and he loves it. On the surface, a spinal cord injury can seem so final, like an abrupt ending. But I can tell you that's not the way my team nor I see it at Shepherd Center. And I can tell you that's not how we treat them. If you could imagine yourself walking into a rehabilitation hospital, you might think it would be very medical, sterile, and you know what? Probably even downright depressing. But after 35 years in this profession, I can tell you it couldn't be more different. There is a lot of hope, a lot of hard work, and believe it or not, a lot of humor. We push, we tease, we innovate, we improvise as we provide preeminent clinical care every single day so our patients and families can write the next chapter in their lives. Because stories don't end, they continue. And for us, every patient is a life restoration moment. A life restoration moment. A moment that focuses on mind, body, and soul. And one where we can remove the period at the end of a story and insert a comma. Now, how do these stories continue? There is some secret sauce to this. Perseverance, the human spirit, the love and dedication of our family members, but also the passion of our tireless care teams and technology, and innovation. And what was Jeffrey's bridge to a new once upon a time? What did Jeffrey talk about almost every single day after his injury? Sports and competition. Now remember the severity of his injury. He can't feel or move below the neck. So our team had to brainstorm to identify the path for his recovery, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. And I already gave away the answer, right? It's Madden football. But it's more than that. He can be surrounded by his friends doing what he loves to do. Gaming, specifically adaptive technology, opened up an endless world of games and sports that he can play with just using his mouth. The therapist worked with Jeffrey to determine the types of switches that would work best with the Xbox adaptive controller. And this is what they came up with. And you can see it in the video. A straw that he can sip and puff on, but also 3 of these button switches, 2 on the outside of his cheek that he can activate with his tongue, and then 1 at his chin that he can activate with his jaw. All 4 of these switches allow Jeffrey to play Madden football, and I'll tell you 100 other games as well, with precision and speed. This simple technology gave Jeffrey his new beginning. And in the beginning, when he was first learning how to play these games, the most prideful moment he had was when he finally beat his mother at Madden football. What 17-year-old would not love to crush his mother, right? But that also gave him the confidence to play with other players. And he hosts other tournaments. And he wins competitions. Did you know you can actually make some bank, some good money, playing these games? But Jeffrey also had the opportunity to build a virtual community of friends where he could go head-to-head with other players around the nation and all over the world. And in this virtual community, interesting, right? You can't actually see Jeffrey. You don't know that he's paralyzed. You don't know he's in a wheelchair. You don't know that he's controlling the game any differently than anybody else. In those moments, as he's crushing the competition and ranking up those points, he is just Jeffrey. And Jeffrey did continue his story. He graduated high school and is now going to Austin Peay State University, where when he finishes, he wants to acquire not 1, but 2 advanced degrees, 1 in criminal justice and 1 a doctorate in psychology. I mean, this kid is incredible. I hope you get to meet him someday. A normal kid doing normal things, making an end, what everybody absolutely thought was the end, into a beginning. And it's individuals like Jeffrey that we get the honor to bridge that concept between I can't and I can. And how can we do that? Well, luckily, we're at the forefront of testing various technologies with the likes of Xbox, Google, Android, Apple. Also working with incredible organizations like Georgia Tech and the CDC. All give us the joy to empower our patients and families to regain the control of their story. And it's technologies such as this that can be life-altering to a lot of our spinal cord injury patients. And it's technology that is critical in our life restoration process and getting these individuals to feel like they can live again. And a lot of these technologies are here today. And I do want to give you some examples. Some will be very simple, some will be a little bit more complicated. Meet David. David was paralyzed from the chest down due to a car hitting him while he was on his motorcycle. So he cannot feel and he cannot move his legs. but he can walk. Exoskeleton devices such as these, worn on the outside of the legs, enables people who can't even move their legs to stand up, walk, even go up and down stairs or outside. And how did this help David continue his story? Well, you can see it here, right? It allowed him to stand up at his full height and look down at his love of his life, Brittany, and recite his vows at the altar. Wow, where are we going to be in 20 years? With Georgia Tech, we helped develop a tongue drive system. Did you know that the tongue is the muscle that is rarely paralyzed? So if we put a pierce through that tongue and put a retainer-like device on the roof of the mouth, if you can only move your tongue, you can still drive a wheelchair. You can turn lights on and off in your home. You can do simple things like change the channel on the TV. Literally, innovation at the tip of the tongue. Now, some technology is a little bit more subtle. You guys, I want you to participate. This is audience participation time. Without moving your heads, focus on my right hand and blink. Again, without moving your heads, focus on my left hand and blink. With just these simple movements that you just did, can connect you to the world by allowing you to use phones, iPad, computer, and also, if you couldn't speak, you can add software to this program that will give you a voice, very similar to Stephen Hawking's after he suffered ALS. Oh God, now we're to this point. I'm really hesitant to bring this next one up. We all know who she is. Again,
I'm feeling
Alexa.
super productive. I've said a gazillion times.
I hate when she does that. She always talks to you when you don't want to be talked to, similar to my husband here in the front row. But, but I digress. For us, it might just mean easier access. But for individuals with high level of spinal cord injury, it's life-changing. Connected with smart home technology, you can turn on lights, TV, thermostat, and hospital bed, simply with the use of your voice. So technology connects individuals with spinal cord injury with independence. It connects them with things that inspire. It connects them with other people. It connects them to the world. But most importantly, it connects and transforms an I can't moment into an I can reality. So don't assume after a tragic accident that it is the end. And you know what? Some of us in the room, including myself, may have had a life moment at one time that you thought it was the end. But recognize the great giant beginning that comes with adding a comma to the story. And as Jeffrey said, just because I'm in a wheelchair doesn't make me any different than any of you. Yes, I am paralyzed, but I am a normal kid who just loves to play sports. Thank you.